Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I welcome you all in FSEX Online Sport and Assignments tutorial for week 10. I am Zubia Razak from APS Thamni. The grade is 8th and subject is biology. Recipe is chapter number 4, cells and tissues. Objective is at the end of this week you would be able to understand about microscopy and emergence of cell theory from textbook pages 52 to 54. Task 1. Microscopy and emergence of cell theory. Microscopy. It is the use of microscope and it is called microscopy. Zacharias Janssen was the first to develop compound microscope in Holland in 1595. It was simply a tube with lenses at each end and its magnification ranged from 3x to 9x. Magnification is the increase in the apparent size of an object and it is an important factor in microscopy. Resolution or resolving power is the measure of the clarity of an image and it is the minimum distance between two objects that can be seen as separate objects. Human naked eye can differentiate between the points which are at least 0.1 mm apart. This is known as the resolution of human eye. If we place two objects 0.05 mm apart, human eye would not be able to differentiate them as two separate objects. Magnification and resolution can be increased with the help of lenses. Electron microscope and light microscope. Electron microscope uses electron beam wavelength and light microscope uses visible light as their radiation. Light microscope. A light microscope works by passing visible light through a specimen. It uses two glass lenses. One lens produces an enlarged image of the specimen and the second lens magnifies the image and projects into viewer's eye on or onto photographic film. A micrograph. A photomicrograph taken through a microscope is micrograph. When we see a micrograph on the page of book, we see some words like LM109X printed along the edge of micrograph. It tells us that the micrograph was taken through a light microscope and that the image has been magnified 109 times. A light microscope can magnify objects only about 1500 times without causing blurriness. Its magnification is 1500x. Its resolving power is 0.2 micrometer and 1 micrometer is equal to 1 by 1000 millimeter. In other words, the light microscope cannot resolve or distinguish objects smaller than 0.2 micrometer. It is about the size of the smallest bacterium. The image of bacterium can be magnified many times, but light microscope cannot show the details of its internal structure. The next is electron microscope. Its magnification is 2,50,000 times and resolving power is 0.2 nanometer. It is the most advanced form of microscope. In electron microscope, object and lens are placed in a vacuum chamber and a beam of electrons is passed through object. Electrons pass through or are reflected from object and make image. Electromagnetic lenses enlarge and focus the image onto a screen or photographic film. This electron microscope has revolutionized the study of cells and organelles, but it cannot be used to study life processes because the specimen must be held in a vacuum chamber. All air must be removed to study the life processes. For example, movement of amoeba. A light microscope is better. This electron microscope has much higher resolving power than light microscope. The most modern electron microscope can distinguish objects as small as 0.2 nanometer. and it is a 1,000-fold improvement over light microscope. Electron microscope can magnify objects about 250,000 times. Under special conditions, electron microscope can detect individual atoms, cells, organelles, and even molecules like DNA and proteins are much larger than single atoms. The next one is transmission electron microscope, and it is used to study cell internal structure, and it is the type of electron microscope. In transmission electron microscope, electrons are transmitted through the specimen. Transmission of electrons is essential to study the internal cell structure. This is scanning electron microscope, and it is the second type of electron microscope, and it is used to study the cell surfaces. And in scanning electron microscopes, electrons are reflected from the metal coated surfaces, and scanning electron microscope is used to study the structure of cell surfaces. And now it's time to discuss the home tasks for the day 1. You have to read and memorize the concepts from textbook pages 52 to 54. You have to define the microscopy, magnification, resolving power, and micrograph. You have to write about the magnification and resolving power of light and electron microscope. You have to write about the uses of transmission electron microscope and scanning electron microscope. And you have to write the answers of these questions on your loose sheets. Thank you and have a nice day.